Hey guys, Zubub here, and I am so sorry that I've been gone for like 2 weeks. My computer did, however, break, I guess is the best word to put it. Something malfunctioned with the motherboard. Wasn't my fault. I don't know what happened. The guy at the shop didn't know what happened. My $600 that I had to spend to fix it didn't know what happened. Nobody knew what was going on, but it's fixed now. We're back. Videos will be rolling out on the regular now, so thank you guys for being patient. I'm gonna wrap up this series of I found an abandoned ship in an abandoned Cold War facility like in the next 2 videos, and then we'll go back to one-shots until I find another series to do. So that's the plan. Hope you guys enjoyed. Sorry for talking your ear off. Let's just get into the video. It wasn't guilt. Not really. I kept telling myself that every time I visited the spot, though. A few weeks had passed since I first stumbled onto the hatch, since I ran like hell from something that I couldn't quite explain, since I left my camera behind, the only real proof of what I saw. And yet, I kept going back. Not inside, no. It just close enough to check whether someone else had found it. And one day, someone had. It was open wider than before, not just ajar. It was a fresh boot print in the grass, layered over my old ones. Someone else had been there. I told my friend Leo, the guy who first told me about this place. Actually, I told him everything. From the moment that I set foot into that facility to the exact second that I ran for my life. And I shouldn't have. He was already hooked from the moment that I described it, although he didn't believe me. He wanted to see what I saw with his own 2 eyes. He couldn't stop asking questions about it, and I just kept ignoring him and telling him to drop it. When I told him about the fresh boot prints, he gave me a look like I just invited him to a treasure hunt. I mean, don't you feel like you left something behind? Think about the camera and the footage on it. He was right. I had been thinking about it, even though I told myself that I wanted to forget. Look, even if you're scared, I'm going there this weekend. What a fucking asshole, right? He knew I wouldn't let him go alone. If something happened, I'd carry that for the rest of my life. I didn't want to go back. I couldn't let him go alone. I knew what it looked like from the inside. I knew that the creature wasn't aggressive. Or at least, it wasn't last time. Maybe if we moved carefully and stayed quiet, we could just go grab my camera and leave. A quick 5-minute adventure. I didn't want to go back. I had to. That's what I told myself, anyway. We packed some food and water in case we needed to distract it, though I doubted that would even work, and drove straight towards the place of my nightmares. I entertained the thought of bringing it a gift, maybe wine, but I decided against it. Leo was practically buzzing with excitement the entire drive. He had way too much energy for someone that was about to step into an abandoned relic, possibly haunted by something that shouldn't even exist. Me? I barely said a word. I just kept watching the tree line as it blurred past the window, and I hoped that I wouldn't regret this more than I already was. We parked at the same spot that I had weeks ago. The trail hadn't changed. The crash of waves, the howl of the wind. It all felt like deja vu in the worst way. I froze until Leo's enthusiasm shook me out of it. "Man, this place really is something," Leo whispered, crouching by the boot prints like a detective. "So, these were the new prints you were talking about?" "Yeah. They're a couple of days old now," I muttered. "This is insane," he said, overly joyous. "It's real. It seems like my sources are to be trusted." I didn't reply. My eyes were scanning every detail near the hatch. He turned towards me with an eager grin. "You ready?" I looked at him, and then back at the hole. I could feel my stomach drop. I swallowed hard and adjusted my pack. No, I said. Let's go. Leo went first. He insisted. For the camera, he said, half joking, half firm. His boots clanked against the bottom of the elevator. Remember, I whispered, softly dropping down into the elevator as well. We go inside, get the camera, and leave. Nothing else. Arthur, chill. It's gonna be fun. The elevator groaned to life as I pressed the down button. Something that I thought I'd never do again, to be honest. The descent was silent, except for the unavoidable noises of the machinery clanking beneath us. It stopped, and with it, my breathing did too. I felt like a cold chill in the air, just like last time. The doors opened to the same long corridor that I remembered. Tight hallways, concrete walls, pipes running along the edges like arteries. But something was different. The air was denser, tighter, and a low pulsing hum vibrated through the floor. It felt like the facility wasn't exactly dead anymore. Like it had been switched on since my last visit, or because of it. We stepped into the water. Was it higher than the last time around? Or was I just imagining things? It almost reached our shins, which I couldn't help but notice. We both reached for our flashlights, turning them on in sync. Leo, get behind me, I ordered in a whispered tone. I know where to go. Don't go off wandering on your own. We moved slowly, the soft splashing from the water disturbing the silence between us. We reached the reception, and I couldn't dare look back at the sheets of papers, although Leo was curious. But he didn't follow behind. I didn't feel like returning. I felt like I was intruding. Some of the doors that I'd passed by the last time were now slightly open. Not fully, but just enough to suggest that something had come through. I saw Leo wanting to explore, but I signaled to him to stay behind me and to not go off on his own. Begrudgingly, he listened. Apart from the doors, everything else was the same. Same shape, same layout. But none of it felt the same. The air had weight now, like the walls had exhaled after a long time of holding their breath. The facility was no longer asleep. It was awake. Leo kept following behind me, humming under his breath like we were walking into an abandoned mall and not the kind of place that left a taste like panic in the back of my throat. We finally arrived at the hallway that sloped downwards. Last time there had been double doors at the bottom, but now there was just a jagged hole in the wall, wide enough to walk through. The sound of moving water echoed throughout the facility, not caused by our walking, but it was done by something inside. Leo didn't stop. Wait, this is where it was, where I saw it last time. Let's just be careful and stick to the plan. Leo nodded, and we stepped through the hole. There I was, back in the large chamber, a cold chill running down my spine. I looked around frantically, trying to find my camera and avoid the ships as much as I could, but Leo had other priorities. Okay, this is actually insane, he said, and then he took a few steps forward as I was still surveying the floor. My boots splashed in the water, and then I finally saw it, a camera. I jogged over and crouched down. The casing was cracked. I flicked the power switch, just out of instinct. Nothing. It was completely dead. I hope the SD card's still good. That's all I need, I whispered under my breath, and then I tucked it away in my backpack. Leo, unfortunately, found the vessel, but didn't approach it. Just swept his flashlight over it, like he was scared it might move if he got too close. Come on, man. I found the camera. Let's just get out of here and I can show you everything. You aren't kidding about this place. His voice was even quieter now, less awe and excitement and more unease. "I know," I said, standing up slowly. "Are you good?" He hesitated. And then, "You remember the footprints?" he asked, not meeting my eyes. "The ones that you saw outside the hatch?" "Yeah, what about them?" I asked cautiously. "I made them," he blurted out. "I didn't go in, I swear. I just wanted to grab your attention. You weren't gonna come back, and I thought..." "But you faked it?" My voice was low but sharp, with a hint of disappointment. "You manipulated the scene just so I'd come back?" Leo flinched. I'm sorry. But come on. You haven't stopped thinking about it." I stared deep into his eyes, trying to hold my voice back. "You were obsessed, Arthur, and you still are. You couldn't stop talking about this place, so I had to see it for myself." I took a step forward towards him. "You don't get it. This isn't just an old facility. There is something wrong down here." He looked away, and I saw the shame on his face. "Look, I had to see it. And I know that you wouldn't come unless someone gave you a reason." And I didn't even have the time to respond, because something answered for me. "It's here." A soft splash, not ours. We both went rigid. Another splash, slower, deliberate. This wasn't just an object or something floating. It was moving towards us. It was coming from the far end by the dry dock. Leo whispered, "Who the hell is that?" But I already knew. My pulse slammed against my ears. From the shadows, something shifted. A slim, tall silhouette approaching through the water. It was no longer idle. It was moving, searching. I leaned in, whispering, "Back out, slowly." We both began stepping backwards through the water, careful not to splash, and then the silhouette moved again. Not fast, but purposeful. Every step it took seemed to echo through the chamber. We reached the edge of the room. I could see the doorway that we came through, but we both made the same mistake. We looked away. When we turned back, it was gone. My breath got caught in my throat, and I held up my hand, signaling Leo to stay still, but he didn't listen. "Where did..." And then we heard it. Splash! From right behind us. I spun around, scared of what I was about to see. There, silhouetted in the corridor, just between us and the way out. It stood still, head tilted slightly, as if it was studying us. It didn't charge. It didn't speak. It just waited, like when I first visited. Leo's breathing was shallow. His light trembled in his grip. A sudden twitch in his shoulder, and then its arm moved. Not fast, but like it had remembered that it even could. "We can't stay here," Leo muttered. "Arthur, we..." And then it lunged. A sudden lunge that was aimed at the space between us. It wanted to separate us. I looked up at it. The creature was twice my size, but its eyes were fixed on Leo. "Run!" I yelled, not knowing what else we could even do in that situation. Leo bolted left, towards the other end of the chamber, and I went right towards the small surveillance chamber, and beyond it. Behind me, I heard water crashing, and then Leo yelling my name. Then, a metallic sound like something big fell down. And then, nothing. I didn't stop. My flashlight beam bounced off the walls as I turned sharp corners, slipping in the water. My backpack hit the door frame as I kicked the door open and burst into the room. Metal shelves were knocked over, papers were strewn across the floor, and the chairs were overturned. And beyond them, monitors. Dozens of them. Still on and still flickering. The hum that I'd felt earlier, it was even louder in here. It was coming from this room. I slammed the door shut behind me, and I let out a breath that I'd been holding in for the last minute of running. My light caught on a corkboard plastered with papers, diagrams, anatomical sketches that didn't look fully human. Logs with dates stretching back to the 70s, each marked Vessel Dweller. My flashlight dimmed as I stepped closer. There were official orders, handwritten notes, small post-its, drawings, everything that you could even imagine. I stared at the words until they burned themselves into the back of my mind. There were binders stacked under shelves, some sealed, some opened and warped by time, but still readable. The computers hummed. Screens blinked with old interface windows, asking for login credentials that I didn't have. I took off my bag and slumped it against the wall. My breathing finally slowed. I think I was safe in here. Locked in, but safe. Whatever this place was, whoever built it, they knew what they were doing. I don't know what happened to Leo. Maybe he got through a vent. Maybe he didn't. But I'm not leaving. Not yet. I've got food and water. I've got shelter. And I've got days, maybe weeks worth of documentations in this room alone. So I'm gonna stay. I'm reading every goddamn page in here, every note, every entry, every name scratched out and scribbled over. Every tiny bit of detail that I can find out about this place and the creature that it holds. Maybe Leo was right. Maybe I really am obsessed. When I'm done, I'll come back and I'll tell you everything. I'll bring it all